For those that are new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications to be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi is without question one of the most controversial films within the Star Wars franchise, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most controversial scenes in The Last Jedi, that having to involve Supreme Leader Snoke. So if you guys have not seen Star Wars The Last Jedi, I highly encourage you guys to click off of this video, because this video is going to be covering lots of spoilers within The Last Jedi. Now, the events surrounding Supreme Leader Snoke, I think at least, has pissed off the entire community in The Last Jedi, because with J.J. Abrams having to build up Supreme Leader Snoke in The Force Awakens, we were all questioning and wondering to ourselves as to who is Supreme Leader Snoke? Where does he come from? Why does he know so much? How much does he ultimately know about both the light and the dark, the Jedi and the Sith? And we were all wondering to ourselves if we were going to get answers for Supreme Leader Snoke, if we were going to get some sort of clarity behind his character. But his fate was revealed in The Last Jedi, and he was killed. And for that, it really upset me as a fan, because you built up Supreme Leader Snoke to be this be-all, end-all villain for this trilogy, similar to Palpatine, but then ultimately having Kylo Ren take his spot, take his role as the new Supreme Leader. I didn't really have a problem with that if this happened in Star Wars Episode 9. Now, for me as a fan, I really gravitated towards Snoke because there was so much mystery behind his character. And I think for me as a fan, that's why I gravitated so much towards him, because even as Andy Serkis had went on record to say that Supreme Leader Snoke has so much hate and so much resentment in his heart, it's arguable that he could be way more evil than even Palpatine, how he was portrayed in the original Star Wars trilogy, you know, with the prequels and however it is you want to consider it. Snoke was supposed to be, you know, that it factor when it came to the dark side. And as I was watching The Last Jedi, it dawned upon me as to how powerful Snoke was, because with complete ease, he was able to toy around with both Rey and Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren in the beginning, and Rey more towards the final act of his scene when he was cut in half. And right from the beginning, the moment we got to see Snoke on screen, we got to see how strong and how influential Snoke was by manipulating Kylo Ren and saying, "Son of Darkness, I sense resolve in you." And he knew about Kylo Ren's weaknesses, and using just one finger and using Force lightning that pushed Kylo Ren halfway across his throne room. So it was incredible to see how powerful he was. And even when Rey arrived on his ship and was in the throne room, Snoke was so powerful and so wise in saying that I was the one that bridged your minds together in trying to figure out your resolve and figuring out Kylo Ren's weaknesses and your weakness in not being able to resist, and Kylo Ren's weakness in having to kind of be pulled between the light and the dark. And with that, he told Kylo Ren, "I can see you igniting the saber and killing your true enemy." And what I found remarkable about this is Snoke, as a character, was able to understand Kylo Ren, read his mind, bridge the gap between the Force and connecting their minds together. But the whole time he wasn't able to sense or pick up the fact that Kylo Ren with his left hand was moving Rey's lightsaber next to Supreme Leader Snoke to the point where it ignited and cut him in half. You're telling me that Snoke wasn't able to see that? Even though Snoke was able to see Kylo Ren moving his lightsaber with his right hand, you're telling me that he was completely unaware that Kylo Ren was manipulating the other lightsaber and striking him? That made no sense to me. And I think that the fate of Supreme Leader Snoke was executed so badly that they had to come up with a endgame as to who was going to replace Supreme Leader Snoke, and that was Kylo Ren. Now, I understand why they chose Kylo Ren is because a lot of people hated Kylo Ren's character in deeming him to be a wimp, a sissy, a crybaby, and, you know, Kylo Ren wanted to portray himself like Vader so bad. Even Supreme Leader Snoke at the beginning of the film said, "You're not Vader, you will never be Vader." And that right there, I think, kind of struck a nerve in Kylo Ren, because Kylo Ren, as he pursued Snoke, Snoke put him down so easily. So it makes sense that Kylo Ren wanted to prove that point in showing Supreme Leader Snoke that I could be just as vicious as Darth Vader, if not more so, if you keep pushing my buttons. So Supreme Leader Snoke, I felt, was poorly executed because we didn't get any information on him. And I think people are missing the bigger picture as to why the fandom is upset, because just like Palpatine, I want you guys to picture this. I want you guys to picture Emperor Palpatine having to be introduced, and as quickly as he came in, he was wiped out by Vader without there being any clarity as to who he was, how powerful he truly was in comparison to Vader and other people, and for him to be struck down so quickly, it would have made things just seem a bit odd, and that's why a lot of people agreed and liked the idea of Vader having to kill off his master at the very end of the trilogy rather than just the middle. So it was different. It was different in seeing Supreme Leader Snoke be taken out so quickly, because in The Force Awakens, Supreme Leader Snoke didn't do anything, and right from the beginning, when he was using the Force to put down General Hux and talking to him and striking down Kylo Ren and using the Force to try to get Rey to talk, we saw the depths and magnitude of his power. Just for him to get struck down, I think was ridiculous. So the fate of Supreme Leader Snoke now is over. He's not coming back, and you have to ask yourself as to, was he the Prime Jedi? Was he the original ancient Sith Lord? Like, what kind of influence did he have in the Star Wars universe? And just like Luke Skywalker, in which we're going to talk about in a different video, I think the outcome of this film was heavily damaged due to just both of those characters having to be written off from the movie. And what I would like to know from you guys is, how do you guys feel about Supreme Leader Snoke? Because Supreme Leader Snoke, to me, I think was the purest definition of a very sinister-like villain, because he didn't have to be involved physically for you to fear him. It was the way he spoke, it was his presence, and even in his throne room, we understood that Supreme Leader Snoke was very, very rich. But even in the film, they never once displayed his wealth. I mean, all he really had was this robe drenched out in gold. He had a really nice throne. We saw Praetorian guards all around him. Everything was drenched in red, and we knew based on spoilers, based on leaks, that he was a very wealthy being, but we didn't know anything about his background. We didn't know if he was created from the Force, as it was hinted in this film that many other people were created by the Force. So this film had a massive flaw in trying to establish certain characters, and he was definitely one of them, because as a fan, I was truly looking forward to seeing more from Supreme Leader Snoke. But the only problem was, as he was shown on screen during the last act of his role, he was cut down. And then, even to add insult to injury, we saw later on how General Hux went in to the throne room to check up on Supreme Leader Snoke, and we see Supreme Leader Snoke's face. He had his tongue out. It looked so quirky and wacky, very Disney-ish, and I felt like Disney ruined the character of Supreme Leader Snoke. He was very dark, he was very sinister, and I don't think Disney wanted to have that kind of a character be portrayed in their films. And it really sucks to say that, but that's just the stone cold truth. And I truly feel, from a personal perspective, that Supreme Leader Snoke could have added more depth in the Star Wars franchise, at least for the new trilogy, because I firmly believe that Supreme Leader Snoke could have added a more deeper and natural effect on Kylo Ren in trying to draw him more towards the dark side. But then again, you have to look at it from the other perspective. It would have been very, 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 very similar to Vader and Palpatine, because Palpatine was always talking down to Vader, and Palpatine was always overlooking Vader, even though Palpatine acknowledged Vader as being a very, powerful, Force user and a very powerful Sith. Palpatine always treated him like trash in a way. Same thing with Supreme Leader Snoke, even though Supreme Leader Snoke, I would have to say, had a bit more respect for Kylo Ren than how Palpatine had for Vader. That's just through my perspective of watching the films. I just felt like what really triggered Kylo Ren was when Supreme Leader Snoke told him, "You will never be like Vader." And I think from a narrative of Kylo Ren having to see how much that would affect him, he had to do what he could to prove that point, like, yes, I am just as dangerous as Vader, if not more unpredictable. So I just think, for me, the meta in this film was switched to the point of narrative where Snoke was just heavily put to waste, because he didn't really have any effect on the story. Whether or not anyone out there wants to agree, he didn't have any effect on the story other than bridging their minds together. So post your comments down below, guys. What do you guys think about Supreme Leader Snoke? These are my initial thoughts on Snoke, because I think it was really dumb to just throw him away like that, because you could have had more. I mean, I was personally waiting for Luke Skywalker to engage with Supreme Leader Snoke at some given point, but we didn't even get to see that, because we saw in The Force Awakens how Supreme Leader Snoke was talking about Luke Skywalker. We have to get rid of the Jedi, and it was even mentioned in The Force Awakens, the last Jedi, and that was, referencing to Luke Skywalker. So I was hoping to see more from that. but we didn't get anything. So post your comments down below, guys. What are your thoughts on Supreme Leader Snoke? What are your overall thoughts on him having to be written off? Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys are fans of movies such as Star Wars or any other movie as a whole, don't forget to punch that subscribe button, guys, as we are going to have loads of different movie discussions on this channel in connection to Star Wars, Pacific Rim, Marvel, DC, the horror universe, the monsterverse, whatever the case may be. If you guys enjoyed, slap a like down below. Don't forget to share this video out to as many Force users as possible. I would like to know your thoughts down below, guys. Thank you all once again for watching. Check out the official Star Wars discussion and theories playlist located down below, and I'll be seeing you all in the comment section. Take it easy, guys. Peace.